All right, welcome everyone. This is a public meeting of the West Bend School District and School Board Curriculum Committee. It is 12:30 p.m. on October 11th of 2024, and we will start with introductions. My name is Melanie Ehrgott, School Board Member.
June Kruger, School Board Member.
Kelly Lang, School Board Member.
Quinn Trueblood, Director.
Erin Faust, Program Administrator.
All right, so it looks like our first discussion item today is the Quarter 2 book club lists, and I'm guessing Ms. Trueblood or Dr. Trueblood will be presenting that.
Thank you. There are two book lists to present to the committee today. The first one would be the 6th grade list, and notice that this is the first list of the year for this class. So there is a request for parents to fill a form out to state their preference for permissions. So you'll see that that is right in front of you. And based on first quarter permission request for parents, it's really turned out to be very, very efficient. And our teachers are saying that it's just like smooth. So I just wanted to tell you that this is a huge improvement, and it seems so small, but on a day-to-day basis, it makes a big difference for our families and our teachers.
Yes, if I can add a comment. So I had to do mine today for my son, and it was so easy. Right from my phone, click a link, read the things, and then click another link. It was wonderful, and there's it's perfect in there for the grade levels. It said it will not be coming home, paper format, everything was very clear. So I have to say that from a user aspect, it was exactly what I had hoped.
Thank you. Okay, so I will begin with a few notes on this list. The very first one is actually a correction. So if I can draw your attention to on page 3, the title of Tangerine and Finding Perfect. The notation for obscene language was actually just switched over, so I just want to state that the correction for Tangerine will be NA for obscene language, and for Finding Perfect will be limited. So, and I wanted to refresh everybody's memory who's been paying attention that limited really means limited, meaning that there are very few, and the specific words, there are different values around there from different people. So as this committee and the board has been working on, there isn't a real list for us to work from, but what we do is say these are potential words that would be considered obscene in most families, let's just say, and maybe not obscene in other families, but nonetheless, we're disclosing that it's very limited. And if parents are very interested, they can look at reviews. And I will admit that some of those reviews at this level, because it's really 6th grade, you'll find that it's very limited because the reviews are very limited because it won't flag for this type of element in these books. So I think that's actually working very well so far based on the first quarter feedback. And that's all I wanted to say. And if there's any questions that the committee or members have, I would take them.
I'll say I did kind of go through and kind of skim, some of the reviews or on most of the books, and most of them didn't even have anything online that would flag as anything. And the Okay for Now and Tangerine, I thought like some of the topics did look kind of heavy, but they are noted in the violence column that that would be in there, or the Okay for Now with the physical abuse that was listed on there. So I thought it was transparent, even though, and it might not be a book. It might be a book that would seem heavy to some students, but there's a lot of options available. So I like that.
Thank you for noting that. And where there was any notation on content, as you know, and we're just going to repeat because we're proud of this work, is we do go to the actual text evidence, and our teachers really give us that information. So they have a really strong handle on this too. So we have a working document process that is even more efficient this year. And so this communicating with each other has become very efficient. And so if there were, for instance, there's an example here for Okay for Now that a child is forcefully tattooed, we certainly look at the text evidence and we look at the context of it, and our teachers give it to us and we do that review. So it sounds kind of like scary right here, but when you look at the actual the actual text evidence, it is an event that isn't written in a scary way.
I just want to say that this is a very nice list. I don't have any issues with any of the items on here. It's laid out in such a way that it's easy to follow, and I am very pleased, and I'm excited that what we've been working so hard on, it's actually working for the teachers and the students and the parents and everyone involved. Thanks.
So the very next list and the final list will be on modern literature. I wanted to say that this is an 11th and 12th grade level list. And so things change a little bit when we talk about threshold levels and how we review this information. So recall that this is a second quarter book list, so you'll see that there is no permission preference letter because it was already executed the first quarter, and I wanted to tell you that I believe that all parents did reply to the permission settings, and so that's actually a really positive thing for even junior level, senior level kids. So I'm really, I'm gonna applaud the parents for that, so thank you for taking the time to do that because it really helps us so much and it helps our kids. Also, I wanted to note in this list, recall that the descriptors for the threshold levels was limited for the 6-8 band and was also some for the 9-12 band in general. So you'll see here that it's even though this is a 9-12 band for the oldest group of students, we put in limited even though it's really appropriate for the 6-8 level to really demonstrate that it is quite limited. It is below the threshold, but it does exist. So this is a little bit for our parents rather than just for policy, is all I'm saying. The translation of what limited means. It's actually lower than some, so, but we want to disclose that there is some in it, or sorry, I shouldn't use the word, that it is limited. So that's one thing I wanted to note, and there is one book on here I want to draw your attention to, and that is on page 1 called The Firekeeper's Daughter. This book in particular had the most reviews, and not that the others didn't, but this was the one that had some interest for our vetting process to test. And so when we looked at the reviews, we recognize and acknowledge the significance of those reviews in the sense that they are public opinion from the reader, which can be valued. So what we do with that review is, and those opinions is, we go back and check for validity. And so when we do that, we go back again to the text evidence and we go back to our teachers to gather more contextual information, et cetera, et cetera. And so I can tell you with great certainty that anything that would have flagged in those reviews would have been gone through a process for validating the opinions. And so in that process, what you see here is really the summary here is that there is some graphic violence, but I shouldn't say the word some, I'm sorry, I'm using that descriptor. There is one event. It does not meet the threshold for limited or some. We're disclosing that it exists. So you'll see that there is no notation, but there's disclosure of the event. And with sexual content, there is some, but it is inferred, so we have to consider that. And lastly, limited, as I explained to you before. So that is just what I wanted to tee up with you in case there were any comments about that in advance.
I say I felt pleasantly surprised by this list with being a high school level. I know there's always, you find more content flagged in that, but I didn't, I looked it up on some different websites that I like to use to vet the books, and most of them were not even on there at all. So I think it looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that.
Thank you. This has been stated before, but again, we do see that even though we're talking about 17, 18-year-olds possibly, the age bands for these books is lower, and that is a function of what we are dealing with right now, but nonetheless, our Our teachers believe that this is a fine representation of a book selection, even though the grade bands are lower than what they're teaching for the students. And it is a great challenge, but we are addressing it.
Just have a general question. Once these permission slips or these books are approved, will they come back year after year, or?
Thank you. So what we've done is if the committee and the board had approved prior lists, which many were approved, with the original thresholds, we would not bring them forward again. Now, we have new books, and that's what we're bringing forward. And the reason why we wouldn't bring them forward again for last year's books, because that threshold was actually more restrictive. So it would not require additional review simply because we have broadened some of the definitions, and we have broadened the thresholds, and we have broadened what is some considerations. So this is the reason why we wouldn't bring them forward again, simply because we know that they will pass because we broadened some of our, as I stated before.
I summarize that this list is just new books.
Definitely new books.
Okay.
And so we did ask our teachers, if you're bringing forward new books, then yes, we'll go through the process. And if, let's just say, there's one new book in one class, then we would bring forward just that book.
All right, it looks like if there are no further questions, we have reached the end of our agenda. So I would make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, June. All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.